And welcome back to Wednesday Night Hoops, presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Start of the second half here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The 21st ranked team of the country, Utah State, on the road with a 27-21 lead. Dave Fleming, Sean Farnham back with you. Sean, I don't think it's a real shock that Utah State is struggling to open up a bigger advantage. They have always gotten a real tough contest from New Mexico State when they come and play here on the road.
Well, you think about New Mexico State, they've won their last 12 home games in this building, so that's the expectation level. It's going to be difficult. Stu Morrill told me just seconds ago that he feels like his team was too stagnant in their half-court sets. There's one way around that. That's to create opportunities through your defense and to get out in transition.
And you noticed a couple different instances in that first half. Utah State known for their great execution where they executed when they did get out on the break.
Well, and I think when you do that, you set yourself up to have a Reese's perfect play. In transition, you got a 2-on-1. Here's what you got to do. See the defensive player. You want to make him commit. He's going to either commit to you or he's going to commit on the pass. And that's what Keith Payne does such a nice job doing on the pass. Defender commits. Now when he commits, that frees up an easy dump down for Keith Payne to finish. And you'd like to see more of that if you're a Utah State Aggie fan. Defensively, not much more you could ask. In those situations, you got to help. You got to hope that somebody else is sprinting back to help. The numbers not pretty offensively in the first half for either team.
And particularly those numbers from beyond the arc. Now, New Mexico State not known for their outside shooting, but Utah State has several good three-point shooters, and yet they did not make a single three-point bucket in the first 20 minutes.
But you do love 8 assists on 12 made field goals for Utah State. Only 2 assists in the first half for New Mexico State. They're working hard to find their offensive looks.
And Utah State does get the first possession of the second half. Ty Wesley, their senior leader, could be the WAC Conference Player of the Year. And travels. Wesley commits the immediate turnover.
In the second half of that game we saw at St. Mary's, Ty Wesley had a lot of bounce in his step. You know, he's playing with a little bit of swagger. I think he embraced the student section getting on him. Tonight, he seems like he's just a little flat.
Almost looks to me like he's trying to get himself angry, trying to get himself going a little bit. So New Mexico State with the ball for the first time in the second half. Talisi Napawe will shoot free throws. He was a big part of what they did in that first half.
Playing through Napawe, 5 shot attempts in the first half. He had an assist. He's been active on the glass. He has been a very good presence for New Mexico State, and I think his best part of his game so far tonight has been his post defense on Ty Wesley.
Misses the first free throw. You know, you walk up right next to him, it's just hard to fathom that he is a freshman. He's got a chance to be really good here as a big guy down low in this league over the next several years. Made the second free throw. For the first point of the second half goes to New Mexico State, and they can get a lot of their offense at the free throw line. They can shoot free throws in bunches.
Well, the key is with their interior presence. They put so much pressure on you that they can pick up early fouls, get you in that one-on-one, and then any hand check away from the hoop, you're going to the free throw line as well.
Good double team came. Nate Bendel beats it with the dribble.
Gillenwater slow in his defensive rotation from the help side position. Should have slid over a lot quicker and cut off that angle.
Gillenwater, typically a better player on this end of the floor. Back to the basket. Off to LaRoche. That three, no good. Rebound Newbold. Keith Payne trying to get it quickly to Wesley. The pass. Wesley saves it inbounds. Nice crossover move, but he carried.
I think Ty Wesley's now just trying to force things a little bit too much. See the crossover, the ball gets up high. He is trying to force his offensive flow tonight. Napawe once again playing great defense. Switching over after Gillenwater struggled to get back at the defensive end of the floor.
Gillenwater double team came, so he finds LaRoche. Great quick pass. Napawe got blocked on the dunk attempt. Took him a little time to get off the ground there, and the defense by then had recovered. Beautiful passing by New Mexico State, but resulted in nothing. Bendel gets the shooter's roll.
And he's got that roll a couple times tonight from that exact same spot. You have got to have an awareness, if you're Troy Gillenwater, to fight through a down screen and close out to Bendel. He can shoot from the free throw line.
He's already got 10 points. He's their leading scorer. We don't say that very often. Bendel averages just 6 a game. He's already got 10 tonight. Poway, and now a whistle. They're calling a foul against Utah State.
Good defense by Utah State in that last possession. As you mentioned, Poway took a little extra time to get his way and his feet underneath him, and because of that, Ty Wesley able to slide on over and get his hand just in there on the right-hand side.
Poway from the baseline, good.
Nice arc on that shot by Napoway. A lot of times you see a big guy's shot flattens out a little bit as he gets away, but Napoway with beautiful arc.
7-point lead for Utah State. To Williams. Newbold. A couple guys have slipped here now. And we're going to pay attention to that. And Newbold slipped again.
And let me just tell you, the problem here on the floor is at halftime, they had a pajama party where they had a pillow fight, and somebody brought a pie onto the floor. And they brought a mop out. They tried to clean it up. I knew it was going to be an issue. And that it's a great thing to have the students have some spirit. But if I'm Stu Morrill, I'm upset right now because I don't want somebody. This is what it looked like at halftime. And then somebody threw a pie right where the officials are right now trying to mop up this floor, and it was a huge concern of mine coming out here in the second half.
And I tell you what, Sean, you say Stu Morrill is upset. He may not know. Nobody may know. They were back in the locker rooms when they were trying to clean this up. Somebody's got to be made aware that this could be an ongoing issue. Now, they really got to pay close attention to that. Williams for 3. Over the backboard, no good. I mean, that's not good. Kids can be in danger. We saw 3 different players slip in the span of about 15 seconds there.
I hope during the next timeout, game operations will come back out. Hopefully bring a couple guys to try to clean up where they mopped, to try to clean up the pot.
We don't say that very often, but you got to bring the super clean team out. Gillenwater around that free throw line area, finds Castillo. No good from 3. So he has not gotten it going yet from the outside.
And you mentioned that people might not know, the coaching staff, the officials don't know either.
Yeah. Ty Wesley pulls his way in and finishes with the left hand.
Similar to the Gillenwater play in the first half where he dipped his shoulder. The Newbold was looking to try to draw that foul. Ty Wesley that time just lowered his shoulder and cleared out space.
Well, Castillo, one thing he is not is shy. He's going to keep shooting. Rocky Payne, no good.
Utah State's got to settle it down a little bit, want to execute in their half-court set, try to get back to some of that pick-and-roll action they had in the first half.
Gillenwater tried to bounce pass to LaRoche, but off his foot, out of bounds. And that sends us to a timeout. Ty Wesley trying to get it going here in the second half. He's the star for Utah State. He could be the WAC's Player of the Year. And Wesley showed you why with this move. Utah State with the bigger lead now. 9-point lead on the road for Utah State as we head toward the end of the WAC regular season and look ahead towards the conference postseason tournament in Las Vegas. Starts Wednesday, March 9th. And Sean, this has been, other than Utah State, again, dominating this league, it's been a topsy-turvy year. It promises, I think, to be a wide-open field.
Well, you look at the job that Coach Verlin has done at Idaho, and the bottom half of the bracket here still could have some movement. Give Arnold at Hawaii doing a nice job in his first season. I think it's going to be a very exciting WAC tournament. And just because Utah State has had a ton of success during the regular season, it doesn't necessarily mean and equate to success in Las Vegas.
And you and I can revisit that as this second half goes on. But Utah State has won 4 consecutive WAC championships. They've hardly lost a regular season game in that time. Payne traveled before the foul, traveled before contact, so he turns it over. But as good as Utah State has been in the regular season, it has not necessarily equated to an automatic win in the conference tournament.
Well, and when you have players like Adrian Oliver at San Jose State, he can single-handedly win a game. You know, a lot of things seem to happen in March that don't happen during the course of the regular season.
And you go to those neutral court venues. For the first time, the WAC is having their league tournament in Vegas at the Orleans Arena. Bad pass there by LaRoche. LaRoche gave it up that time. He has played very good defense tonight. Great over the top from Wesley. Tyler Newbold, though, could not get the layup to go.
And the Poway is on the floor, the biggest, strongest player out there on the floor, getting down, getting his hands on the ball. Little things. When you're down by 9, those little plays start to add up, and sometimes can help you ignite at the offensive end.
The Poway's been impressive. Here's a bounce pass. Castillo led LaRoche too far, and all of a sudden New Mexico State just being very, very careless with the ball.
It has been a struggle here in the second half to find offensive looks. Just 3 points so far for New Mexico State. I mean, an anemic offensive approach. I think Troy Gillenwater has got to elevate his play right now and demand the basketball down on the block.
And Utah State, even as the favored team, the power team, playing on the road here, they don't mind if the game gets a little ugly, gets a little choppy.
Stu Morrill never shied away from saying it doesn't matter how you win, it's whether or not you win. And his team doesn't care if it's pretty or if it's ugly, as long as they leave with a victory.
Gillenwater could not get it to go. He'll shoot free throws.
Okay, remember in the first half, I kind of showed you at halftime about proper spacing in transition, how that create lanes. That time you had a 4-on-1 opportunity for New Mexico State, but everybody's running the exact same lane. Freeze it right here. Freeze it before you pass. Look at how many bodies are on this side of the floor. There's no way you're going to find an open and clean look. You don't force the defender to make a move and guard anybody. He was already moving away on the pass to make sure he slid over and got to make the play. And instead of getting 2 points, now all of a sudden you go to the free throw line and you miss the first. That's a great foul.
And the free throw shooting overall for New Mexico State has just been atrocious. They are 3 of 10 as a team at the line. Their 4th free throw make right there. And a timeout taken after that made free throw. So we'll take a timeout of our own. New Mexico State struggling for offense. ESPN, your NBA destination on Friday night. A pair of games at 7 Eastern. What a battle between MVP candidates Derrick Rose against the Orlando Magic and Dwight Howard. Then at 9:30 Eastern, the Heat in San Antonio to take on the Spurs. ESPN NBA Friday night.
Potential MVP matchups between Derrick Rose and Dwight Howard. What great seasons they've had.
Well, the issue we brought up a few moments ago, and they are still working on it, and this just cannot happen this way, but it has, and so they're trying to address it. The players continue to slip in this area of the court. Tyler Newbold on one possession slipped 2 or 3 times, and that's where you could get a situation where a player can really get hurt. Sean talked about it. They had a pillow fight. It was great. It was fun for the kids. Somebody brought a pie out onto the court and threw the pie in the midst of this melee, and it got all over the surface, and they did not do a good enough job cleaning it.
Well, and you know, during one of our timeouts, I got up and I told the official, I said, you guys don't know what happened here at halftime, but this is what went on, and you got to be careful, because the last thing you want to see for either team is somebody go down with an injury that is, you know, an injury that could have been averted by just making sure that the floor was properly cleaned and that nobody brings a pie onto the floor at halftime and decides to throw it in someone's face.
So they're still working on that. We're here in Las Cruces, New Mexico, near the end of the WAC regular season. Utah State has clinched a 4th consecutive WAC championship. They're the power in this league. Another spectacular year big dreams for Utah State, not just in this league, but in the NCAA tournament as well. 13-1 overall. New Mexico State fighting still for that all-important 2 spot in the postseason WAC tournament, where you get the double bye to the semifinals. Utah State, Sean, you take a look at their tournament resume. Do the Aggies have enough no matter what happens in Vegas?
I think that they have done enough. I know a lot of people will point out their quality win. It's an RPI top 50 best win at St. Mary's. Their strength of schedule down at about 104. But they have successfully come into their conference and played well night in, night out, understanding that they're going to get the best shot. And the tight one to BYU that they lost, they got pummeled a little bit by Georgetown when they lost by 17. But overall, they don't have really bad losses on their resume outside of that Idaho contest. And that's a contest against a coach that knows Stu Morrill better than anybody in the country, as he was an assistant coach under him for 15 years.
Stu Morrill getting hot now. Jardine, he thought, got pushed off balance. Jardine instead got called for the travel. Stu's a little ticked off. His Aggies do lead by 8, though, here on the road. Well, they are just 1-5 all time in WAC play. With all their conference wins since joining the WAC, only one of them has come in this building. Gillenwater, great catch, and then he was wide open.
For a team that has struggled so much offensively, it's just a nice flash down off the double team on the post that freed up Gillenwater.
Dangerous pass from Green. Now a lob, and Jardine didn't catch it.
Ty Wesley, though, it was not a good pass. Grady Jardine had the right idea, but Ty Wesley didn't find him and deliver the ball like he should have.
He put it even close. Jardine can go get it. He's got the great leaping ability. So the feel of this game has changed dramatically in the last few minutes. New Mexico State could keep the pressure on with a bucket right here. Gillenwater had a man open for a moment when Newbold recovered.
I like the fact that Gillenwater didn't force it.
Gillenwater, contested shot. Kabongo poked it out of bounds. So it'll be Utah State basketball.
Didn't force it on the first one. Second one he did. A fadeaway contested look. Even though he can hit that shot, probably not the best look that New Mexico State could find in that possession.
This trap has started to pay some dividends for the Aggies. Taking Utah State out of a rhythm on offense.
Once you break it, though, you've got to look to attack. Jardine got that ball on that sideline. Ty Wesley had an easy lane right down the hoop, and he didn't even move.
Here's Payne. Payne with contact. No whistle this time. Here comes New Mexico State. Nifty pass. LaRoche finishes.
Kabongo with the dish. LaRoche with the finish. LaRoche gets things started. He's very athletic, sneaky how he can get down the lane. Never afraid to draw contact.
Now a whistle and a foul. That time, Utah State getting a little ticked off with how physical this game has gotten, but they're going to have to deal with that down the stretch here in Las Cruces.
You got to match it, but you got to remember the passer sometimes can be very dangerous. LaRoche dumps it off, and nobody slides over. He goes right to the lane.
Well, things heating up here in Las Cruces. WAC basketball, 2 rivals in this league. New Mexico State using buckets in transition to get right back in this game. Down by 4, 33-29. ESPN, your home court of college hoops. Thursday night, a pair of games at 7 Eastern. Tennessee on the road to take on South Carolina at 9 Eastern. John Lure leads Wisconsin on the road to Bloomington to play Indiana. Thursday night showcase presented by T. Rowe Price on ESPN. As Tennessee Volunteers have been such a controversial team, Sean, throughout the course of this college basketball season.
As many quality wins as anybody in the country, but some bad losses to go along with that. 4th toughest non-conference schedule. Overall strength of schedule, you see it too. I don't see any way that the Tennessee Volunteers aren't in the NCAA tournament, despite a record that is less than stellar.
You hear the tournament folks talk so much about challenging yourself with the schedule and then winning some of those games. Green knocks down a 3 off the screen. And Brian Green, a senior on this team, fiery leader of the Aggies, trying to help get Utah State started again. And
talking at the defensive end of the floor. He's been very active, got his hands on that ball.
It's the first three-point bucket made by Utah State all evening. And a timeout as New Mexico State was pinned along the sideline. Well, Green's a senior. So is Ty Wesley. He's had such a great year for Utah State, Sean, leading this Aggies team. He's also, over the last couple of years, had to be a real tough guy. He has dealt with what has become like a chronic broken nose problem.
Well, of course, last year in the WAC tournament, you see the hand come down. That was Ty Wesley. That's the first time he broke his nose. Here comes the second time later in that game. Troy Gillenwater comes down. In fact, he said his nose was broken in 3 different places. Tonight, this won't help.
During warm-ups,
he already broke his nose about a month ago at practice. Brady Jardine got him. And he said last year's was way different than this year's.
and that was a teammate this evening, not on purpose, but not a fun moment for Ty Wesley, who was playing through some pain. Out of the timeout, New Mexico State now with 12 to shoot. Castillo for 3. There's an answer. And the local kid, Gordo Castillo's first three-point bucket of the night.
4-point game. And New Mexico State is 4 of 11 from the free throw line.
Now a bad pass. Ferris over and back. Ferris is arguing it was tipped, but then Ferris was in the front court still. Touched the ball, I believe. We'll look at it again and then went back court.
We'll see the play for it. And Ferris, either way, it could have been travel if you wanted to call it that way.
Well, he was right. It was tipped. If he'd let it go into the backcourt, then just gone after it, he'd have been fine.
Yes.
Castillo, another 3. Got another one. 1-point game.
This trap has been very effective in the second half, disrupting Utah State.
Newbold over the top. Jardine got pushed on the floor before the shot, so no free throws coming. A foul on the floor. Marvin Menzies has seen his team. They were down 9 a few moments ago. Rally, pressure defense, and some outside shooting. Here's some outside shooting. Ferris, no good. And now a whistle and a foul against New Mexico State, going for the rebound.
Down underneath. Offensive rebounding opportunity for Jardine and some physical presence. Now this is what Stu Moore likes to do. Go 1/4 the high post area to try to create lanes and gaps to attack after the inbounds pass. But that time they just go to their safety foul.
New shot clock for Utah State. Ranked team having a hard time on the road here against a physical New Mexico State team. Green, that's an illegal screen. Nate Bendel called for the foul, and it's going back the other way.
And Bendel shifted his body to his right ever so slightly instead of putting his foot on that end line and making sure that you force the defensive player to go over the top of the screen.
On pajama night in Las Cruces, the student fans have sort of woken up here in the last few minutes. It's got loud in the Pan American Center. Gillenwater triple teamed. Here's Watson with the left-hand dribble. Watson scores!
Watson's like a linebacker, strong running back with big shoulders, going through the hole, finding the contact, and just going straight through it.
Bucket gives New Mexico State the lead. A 12-3 run for the homestanding Aggies.
Stu Morrill mentioned at halftime to me that he thought his offense was stagnant in the first half. He challenged his team to respond.
Newbold scores, and Utah State back up by 1.
It's still been pretty stagnant, though, here in the second half, Dave.
Over the top, the lob. Watson got fouled. Aggressive play once again, as you mentioned, from Tyrone Watson.
Just poor backline defense in the zone for Utah State. Brady Jardine was playing 2 passes away versus holding his position in the weak side. He would have been there to get that steal. Instead, he picks up a foul.
Free throw. Good. Before this last sequence, the last time New Mexico State had led this game was back at 17-16. Utah State had controlled basically since then. That opened up as much as a 9-point advantage. A chance for New Mexico State to go back up by 1 with this free throw.
Watson stepping to the free throw line. Unorthodox shot, knocking it down. They were 4 of 11 before those 2 makes.
More pressure from New Mexico State. And Brian Green needs a timeout. The trap worked.
I don't like the way Utah State is approaching the pressure that New Mexico State is providing for them. They are passing the ball side to side. They are not aggressively flashing from your back line, catching, turning, and facing, and making them pay. They're allowing the pressure to bother them, slow them down, and effectively make them more stagnant than they were in the first half.
Big key also for this run, Gordo Castillo with a couple of threes from the same spot in that left corner. The local kid, the senior, knocked down 2 big shots. And then the guy Sean was talking about, Tyrone Watson, has been strong in the last couple minutes.
He's got big, broad shoulders and able to take contact. And he really just bowls his way into the hoop. It doesn't matter if you're standing in front of him. He's going right through you.
Well, this has been an inconsistent New Mexico State team this year. They've had injuries. They lost Wendell McKinnis. They thought he was going to be their star. He's been out the entire year. But it's a physically imposing team.
And you mentioned it. They win in this building, regardless of what goes on out on the road. 12 consecutive conference wins inside this building.
Now a foul. And Newbold called for an illegal screen.
And more slipping twice on that possession in the area in which they've mopped time and time again here in the second half to try to clean up from the extracurricular activities in the second half.
Not good, and the officials are very concerned about it. Under 9 minutes to play. New Mexico State with a 1-point lead against the 21st ranked team in the country. Christian Kabongo looking for a screen. Finds Gillenwater. A contested 2, too strong, long rebound. LaRoche hits the shot.
The crazy thing about LaRoche is he always seems to be in the paint and scoring, even with his size and stature.
Rocky Payne back in the game, trying to get his guys organized. Morgan Grimm in for the first time. Here's Wesley, the catch and the up and under move. Missed the shot. Grimm could not tip it.
Ty Wesley's been nowhere to be found here in the second half.
New Mexico State on a big run here at home. LaRoche to Gillenwater against Wesley. Gillenwater rejected but draws the foul. The crowd's gotten into it as it's gotten very physical. Some tempers flaring up. Should be an interesting final. 7:33 from Las Cruces. Don't go away.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Reese's, the perfect combination of chocolate and peanut butter. and in part by Volvo. There's more to life than a Volvo. That's why you drive one. Volvo for life.
About 40 miles away from where we sit, El Paso, Texas, and Juarez, Mexico. We're here in Las Cruces, New Mexico. New Mexico State 41, Utah State 38. It's Wednesday Night Hoops, presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Last year, these two teams met in the WAC Tournament Championship. Utah State, the heavy favorite, but New Mexico State with many of the same players we're seeing here tonight, despite the efforts of Jared Quayle of Utah State, Gillenwater, and New Mexico State got the win and earned themselves a spot in the NCAA tournament. It was an upset, and it was a win to celebrate for these guys.
Well, you mentioned it earlier about the WAC tournament, just how wide open it can be. Look at the champions versus the runner-up. It's not been dominated by Utah State. It's been a different team each of the last 5 years, and this year certainly could be just as exciting.
And it is very interesting to see how that WAC tournament has played out despite some powerhouse teams in the regular season. It makes for the excitement of March very palpable in the WAC tournament. Here's Gillenwater out of the timeout with a couple of free throws.
The big difference has been New Mexico State's ability to score. They are 4 for their last 5 shots. Getting to the free throw line all of a sudden now starting to make their free throws.
Gillenwater makes them both. He's got 14 points to lead New Mexico State. The three-point shooting has not been there at all for Utah State.
But you see, once you break the pressure and you finally get the ball passed, they're passing the ball back out to try to establish their offense versus looking to attack.
Green tried to pull the trigger, now does on a contested 2. He got knocked to the ground. Count the bucket with the foul.
Green has been the one guy offensively that has brought a little bit of fire and passion really at both ends of the floor. And that's been the surprise for me, is not seeing Utah State bring the energy level that's necessary to get a win on the road. But Brian Green, very nice job here in the second half.
They need him. He can provide a real spark off the bench. Chance for the three-point play, but he misses the free throw. It had been a 14-2 run for New Mexico State. Utah State falls back in their zone defense. 7 minutes to play in Las Cruces. Kabongo, bad pass to Gillenwater.
Brian Green got his hands on it. You see, in transition, push, try to find an easy look.
Payne got knocked to the ground. Grimm passed up the open look. And now Payne will set the offense here. Payne goes by LaRoche and a foul reaching from behind.
Did a good job rejecting the ball screen. Grimm was coming up to set an on-ball screen. Payne read the way LaRoche was guarding him. Just went opposite of him.
You and I were at St. Mary's when Brock Keith Payne struggled for a huge stretch of that game and then just turned it on and dominated in Moraga for a period of time in the second half. Newbold for 3. Good! Tie game.
Big shot by Tyler Newbold.
Morgan Grimm did a nice job getting out on Castillo. Not this time. Got another one. Those 3 three-pointers have all come in the midst of this run for Gordo Castillo.
See, I'd like to see Ty Wesley catch that ball once they break the press and at least turn and face the basket instead of looking away from your hoop.
And very passive compared to the normal Ty Wesley. Payne, they just left him open.
Good decision. Brock Keith Payne getting his feet underneath him, and now they change up. They get away from the zone. They're going to go to man-to-man defense for Utah State.
And maybe Gordo Castillo forced him out of that zone. Stu Morrill told us before the game, you got to pay attention to Castillo because he can make 3 or 4 of them in a row. We just saw it. Gillenwater for 2. Too strong. Napawe got fouled. The freshman Chalizi Napawe has played a nice game tonight.
5:21 left to go in the game. You've got yourself a 1-point lead. You have to make Utah State pay if they foul you and send you to the line.
First free throw, Napale calmly hits it. That is also, Sean, the 7th team foul against Utah State. So not only shooting foul, everything from here on out will mean those free throws.
And that's what the size and strength of the interior presence of New Mexico State can do to you. They can just wear you out down low, pick up fouls, battling on the offensive glass.
Napale missed that one pretty badly. Utah State down 2. Brocky Payne all the way.
And there's a hesitation dribble up top and a screen by Ty Wesley as he reverse pivots, duck move in.
Payne's got that look all of a sudden, trying to amp it up on this end of the floor against LaRoche. He poked it away.
Payne needs to step it up. Someone needs to provide life for Utah State. New Mexico State has been much more of the aggressor here in the second half.
Gillenwater against Wesley. Spins back and goes off the top of the backboard. Offensive rebound. Napale. It hasn't hit the rim yet. LaRoche. Teardrop!
Degree of difficulty, I give him a 7 on the shot. It's a big one that counts for 2 and a much needed look. I think there was a lack of awareness originally how much time was left on the shot clock.
Right as the light went off, LaRoche's shot went through. Now Green, knifing through the defense. Brian Green gets the roll. Once again, it's tied.
All of a sudden, Utah State not settling for perimeter shots, attacking the interior with their guards.
So the pace of this game, the intensity, everything about it has picked up. We got quite a finish, I think, coming here in Las Cruces. Longo, coming off his career high game, has been quiet tonight. Almost traveled there. Castillo short on the 3. Utah State looking to push here with Payne. Rocky Payne feeling it, scores again.
As I mentioned off the top, he is the one player that can really break you down one-on-one. And he has demonstrated that time and time again here in the late stages of this game.
He has stepped it up big in the last couple of minutes. And now it's Utah State back up by 2 in the hostile environment, a place where they struggle to win. Gillenwater was fouled before the move. Well, Wesley will be called for the foul. It'll be 1-and-1 free throws for Gillenwater when we come back. Quite a sequence back and forth these last couple of minutes.
Guards making plays. I called them, they were my star watches. They're playing like it. LaRoche with the teardrop as the shot clock expires. Brian Green at the opposite end of the floor, being more aggressive, and we're so
in Las Cruces, our game summary heading down the final 3 minutes, under 3 minutes to play. This has been the toughest place in the WAC for Utah State to play over the history of Utah State in this league, and no different tonight. The 21st ranked team of the country leads by just 2.
Yeah, and one of the big concerns coming down the stretch for Utah State is that Nate Bendel and Ty Wesley both have 4 personal fouls. Brady Jardine has 3 fouls, so foul trouble down the stretch could be a big concern.
Wesley with 4, Nate Bendel with 4, still 2:49 to play, and Troy Gillenwater off of the timeout at the free throw line to shoot 2. If he makes both, we have another tie game. It's been back and forth in the last several minutes. And he misses the front end, and it was a 1-and-1 because even though he shot the ball, they called the foul on the floor before the shot. Now that's a key miss for Gillenwater and New Mexico State.
Utah State only 4 free throw attempts, 18 for New Mexico State.
Here's Wesley, who's been so quiet, not on that possession.
And that's a Ty Wesley that you're kind of used to seeing, maintaining position, under control.
The opposite of control there. The freshman Kabongo threw it away.
The number situation.
Newbold for three. Good!
And that was created by the defense at the opposite end. Kabongo, a poor decision, and it comes back down. But last two possessions, I like what I've seen out of Utah State, responding and creating this lead. Ty Wesley, look at the composure, surveys the defense. No double team comes, fine. I'm going to finish. He finishes at about 67% when they don't double team. That's why you usually got to bring the look on the bounce. Then, in a scramble defensively, Newbold wide open from the outside for three. 5 quick points. And all of a sudden, this is ballooned up to a 7-point lead.
And Sean, it was a chance for New Mexico State to tie with 2 free throws. Gillenwater missed the front end of the one-on-one. Then the Wesley bucket, the turnover, and the Newbold three. Tyler Newbold, we don't often talk a lot about him and his offense. A lot of other things he does for this team, but he's made some big shots in the second half.
And again, it starts though with New Mexico State not taking care of their ball. And the offense throwing it away, allowing for a run out. That doesn't allow you to set up your trapping defense that has caused a lot of problems for Utah State here in the second half. In order to set that up, you have got to score points.
9-0 Utah State run. Utah State has already clinched a 4th consecutive WAC championship. It feels like they're playing for a spot in the NCAA tournament to cement that, playing for seed, playing to win in a place where it's been very hard for them to win here in Las Cruces, and being really challenged on the road. Gillenwater with the foul. Game's not over yet.
And it's never over when you have Troy Gillenwater averaging about 20 points per game and starting to get to that point right now. 16 points with an opportunity to add more at the free throw line. And that's 5 fouls on Bendel.
Utah State will hope that doesn't cost them with a lead with 1:46 to go. But Bendel's been a key player for them tonight despite the foul trouble. And let's just say if the game were to come down to a final possession or even go to overtime, they would really miss one of their senior leaders. Gillenwater converts the three-point play.
I think you identify if Ty Wesley is being guarded by Gillenwater on the next time down the floor, you get Gillenwater the ball right away and try to foul Ty Wesley out of this game. He can't be as aggressive as he wants to be defensively right now.
Well, that was a big play. It's just a 4-point lead for Utah State with the ball. They do break the trap for the moment. 15 to shoot. Newbold with the ball. Here's Brian Green. Wesley will set a screen. Green goes the opposite way. Floats one. No good. Morgan Grimm, though, grabs the offensive rebound. Fouled from behind. It's just the 6th team foul against New Mexico State. It's not free throws. Almost better, Sean, though, in this game situation because it's a fresh shot clock for Utah State.
A fresh shot clock and the ability to work it around. And I think Rocky Payne needs to get back to some of the things that he was doing earlier in this half, where he was utilizing screens, finding lanes to the hoop, creating offense.
Utah State's job now is to work this shot clock down. Be patient. Dangerous pass from Payne, but Green received it.
To attack.
Payne open, shot the jumper. Wesley offensive rebound, and he's fouled. 2 huge offensive rebounds in a row for Utah State, and this time it will lead to 1-and-1 free throws.
I think Rocky Payne, though, should have put that ball on the floor and gone to the rim. Settled for a perimeter jump shot. Happens to work out because Ty Wesley working hard on the weak side glass.
Well, those offensive rebounds so important, and they've been almost non-existent in this game until this possession. But Wesley misses the front end. Huge miss.
New Mexico State's got to play with a sense of urgency.
Gillenwater had it picked. Here's Brockheath Payne to Wesley, back to Payne. And he's going to dribble it back out. And we'll see if New Mexico State fouls him.
They've got a foul. I don't know what you're waiting for. You'll have a lot of time. Get off the clock. It is a 4-point game. On the steal, you foul.
Maybe in the chaos of that steal, unexpected play, New Mexico State just lost its composure there, but LaRoche has just got to go foul Payne right there.
No question. Too much time ran off the clock as they hesitated to foul.
Grimm misses the front end. Excellent free throw shooting team. Utah State is giving New Mexico State a chance by missing. Here's Gillenwater. LaRoche open to Poway, dunks it in.
Smart play by LaRoche to find the Poway underneath. So much concentration being placed on Gillenwater and where he's at on the floor. Ty Wesley steps up. Nobody on the Poway. Wide open underneath.
This game far from over. 2-point spread. Utah State with the lead. We got a good one here. We expect a couple of good ones coming up on Saturday. A pair of Big East games. Doubleheader on ESPN. Louisville at West Virginia. Notre Dame at UConn. Saturday College Hoops presented by 5 Hour Energy in the Big East Conference. But focusing back on this game, Sean, 2-point lead for Utah State. You talked about that last play. We mentioned a moment ago, Nate Bendel fouled out. Some defensive confusion for the Aggies, and perhaps part of that is Bendel not being on the floor. One of their big guys, tough guys down low.
Well, ironically, as much as I was talking about free throws from New Mexico State early in this game, they have shot the ball pretty well at the free throw line down the stretch. It has been Utah State that twice, the front ends of one-on-ones, they have been unable to knock them down, and they could have extended out this lead and made this a lot more comfortable than where we're at right now in a 2-point game with 21 seconds left.
And Morgan Grimm not used to pressure free throw spots, but Ty Wesley, you would figure he would step to the line and knock his free throws down. He's shot many, many of those in the past.
I think right now what you do is you're going to look to get the steal on the inbounds pass. If you're unable to get the steal on the inbound pass, you really cannot be picky in who you foul with 21 seconds left to go.
Newbold is an excellent free throw shooter. And not fouling him, although it looked like they tried. Here's Brocky Payne, time ticking away. They foul Payne, who's very good typically at the line, right around 79%. And he'll be the one shooting still 1-and-1 free throws at the other end.
See, and I think you let the clock go from 21 to 13 seconds. You're trailing by 2. You got to foul it. You cannot be picky in that instance. Who are you going to foul?
It could mean that 8 seconds, give or take, could mean a whole nother sequence of fouling, going to the line, getting a shot on your offensive end. That could cost you a whole nother sequence down the stretch.
And now, because the foul wasn't taken immediately, it forced LaRoche to take the foul, and he's done. He's got 5 personal fouls. So see, you foul right there. Instead, you don't, and now you lose your point guard down the stretch. Again, you look at the free throw percentages of the players that are out on the floor right now. The best free throw shooters are out there for Stu Moore. Payne, a 79% free throw shooter. Tyler Newbold, who they didn't foul, is a 75% free throw shooter.
Well, they made a mistake there. The officials are looking at the timing to make sure they get the time right. Assuming that's what they're taking a look at here. It's a 2-point game. Utah State has the ball. They just got fouled. Their junior point guard, Rocky Payne, is going to the other end to shoot the front end of a 1-and-1. And this could be a totally, as you see there, 14.4 seconds likely, I think, to where they'll reset that clock. 14.4. And that's exactly what they're going to do here. So that helps New Mexico State just a bit. But here we are once again, front end of a 1-and-1. We've seen 2 of these Utah State miss in the final minute of this contest. The game would be a whole lot different if they made those free throws.
There's no question it would have been. And you're Brocky Payne. You're looking into the student section, the dance team, the cheer team, everybody trying to distract you the best you can. You got to toe that line and knock them down.
Payne front end. Got the friendly roll, and what a big free throw that is. It's a full 1-possession game now, and this next one becomes huge as well. Utah State as a team just 4 of 7 tonight at the line. Got them both. Under pressure, Brocky Payne.
Doing a good job substituting Grady Jardine, because what it does is it forces them to take out the ball, and now a timeout will allow you to set up your defense.
And again, this game important for a couple different reasons. Number one, Utah State still feels like they're trying to cement their status as an at-large team, no matter what happens in Vegas, maybe improve their seed. And New Mexico State still fighting for what could be that 2 slot in the postseason tournament.
And that 2 spot so important this year because of the way the WAC tournament is set up. We mentioned it earlier in the game. It gives you a bye all the way to the semifinals. That means you're 80 minutes away from punching your own ticket to the NCAA tournament. I think Utah State has responded here in the second half from a great run by New Mexico State. I think the one thing that would concern me moving forward for Stu Morrill's team is, guys, when we get a lead, we've got to close out our opponent. We can't allow them to have life, and their execution against the pressure from New Mexico State was not crisp in the second half.
And I think Stu does feel like, and probably rightfully so, his team takes the opponent's absolute best shot no matter where they go. Every night in this league, they're the top dog. They're the team everybody's trying to knock off. But you're right, they have made some mistakes in this game. We saw them make some mistakes at Idaho that they can clean up if they want to be the type of team that not only can win this conference, but do some bigger things after that.
Well, this is a team that is clearly the best team in this conference in Utah State. They're clearly the best team in this conference. Ty Wesley could be the conference player of the year at the end of the season. But I think with the seniors on this squad, 4 consecutive conference championships, their goals aren't simply to win the conference and get to the NCAA tournament. They have higher hopes than that, and they have a couple areas they can really clean up.
And now New Mexico State down 4. They need to hurry. Kabongo, long 3. No good. Tip ball, no good. Tipped up again. Watson throws it to nobody in particular. Out of bounds. Utah State ball. And they're going to escape Las Cruces with a rare win in the Pan American Center.
What did Stu Morrill tell you and I? Doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win. If it's ugly, if it's pretty, doesn't matter. And the fact of the matter is Utah State has come on the road to a place that they have struggled to find wins, and they just found a way to win.
It's only their 2nd ever WAC win here in this building, and they had to struggle for it, but in the end, they get the job done. 58-54, the final Utah State for Sean Farnham and our great crew. Dave Fleming saying so long from Las Cruces. Coming up next on ESPN2, college basketball final. So long from Las Cruces, New Mexico.